Welcome to episode 6 of the Be Fierce and Kind podcast, the podcast where you learn about being a strong advocate for yourself, for others, and for your business without being a jerk about it. I'm your host, Amber Shepherd. I am a lawyer by day, but I am not your lawyer. Why is that? Because this is a recording and we are not engaging in legal advice or activities, and because I like to keep my law license. Thank you. Okay, we're going to jump into this. This is the second part of the podcast series or YouTube series, if you're watching this, about small business formation for folks that don't want to fall asleep because it's super duper boring. Okay, that's hashtag trademark, hashtag copyright. I'm just kidding. So let's go into it. Last time we talked about a business plan. So we spent 20 minutes talking about a business plan, why it's ground zero, why you start there. We have for sale a business plan template on the website, befierceandkind.com. That's enough selling things. Let's go. Okay. Now we are going to talk about picking your legal structure. Okay. How are you going to form your business legally? Okay. I'm going to go in a quick overview of how you can do this. And remember, y'all need to go talk to a lawyer in your state. Okay. Wherever that may be. My day job is Louisiana and Mississippi. Okay. I'm saying okay in place of that is not cool, but here we are and we're gonna keep rolling. All right, so you can be a sole proprietor. You can be a partnership. We're gonna go over this, don't worry. You can be a limited liability company. That's usually what most people are. You can be a corporation. Or you can be a nonprofit. Straight up, I'm going to tell y'all, I do nonprofit law. You don't want to be a nonprofit. There are reasons to be one, and if you want to make money and benefit from you making money, it ain't being a nonprofit. Okay, so just whatever. I just had to tell you that. So, let's go. Sole proprietor. This is if you do not pick a legal structure and you just start selling dog bandanas or cookies somewhere. You are a sole proprietor. You are doing business. It is you. You do not have any legal protections if you are a sole proprietor. Most states have a statute that just say you go and do this. You don't form with your Secretary of State, or some states it's called like the Division of Corporations. If you don't officially form somewhere but you're doing business, you're a sole proprietor. Sometimes folks will do this, okay? But they'll file what's called a doing business as form. Sometimes it's called a fictitious name. Sometimes it's called a trade name. It depends on what state you're in. But sometimes folks do that. So if it was Amber Shepherd selling dog cookies, maybe I want to go open a bank account. Well, guess what? When you go open a bank account, you need a EIN number, which you can't have if you are a sole proprietor. Because if you're a sole proprietor, you use your social security number. So you will form or file a DBA and you will use that to get an EIN. So if I didn't want to be Amber Shepherd selling dog cookies, I can file a DBA. Amber Shepherd doing business as Doggy Cookies USA. Okay. I don't recommend y'all being a sole proprietor. That's just my experience. The reason is because if someone were to get sick off your dog cookies and sue you, and let's say that they won, they could potentially seize your assets and your house. Oh, not fun, right? Okay, cool. Partnership. Is that the way to go? Partnership is if you and someone else are sharing the profits and losses together. I'm getting super legally here, okay? 9 times out of 10, you don't want to be a partnership. You'll be a partnership if it is like you as an LLC and someone else as an LLC want to get together and do a business, but you want to have certain things in place. I'm just going to cut to the chase and we're going to go straight to an LLC. Limited liability corporation, this is normally what folks are going to form as. There's some reasons why you wouldn't. Not many. Sometimes folks just skip it and they go straight to a corporation. A corporation has way more red tape, way more formalities that you have to follow, like a board of directors, president, vice president, secretary, treasurer, all these different things. LLC, if you're listening to this, is probably what you're going to want to do. If you're watching this, like, I have my shoulders hunched up. Like, I look like Sloth from the Goonies. I don't know why I'm doing that. Couldn't tell you. Okay. LLC, limited liability company, corporation, whatever. That requires an employer identification number, EIN. You get that bad boy off of the IRS, irs.gov. That is the only place you should get an EIN. It is free from irs.gov. Be careful if you Google that, because a lot of sites will pop up and they say like, oh, $75. It's free. That's a scam. They're going to steal your social security number and run away with it and go open credit cards and buy, you know, $1 million worth of bird seed or something. Not the way to go. LLC allows you to get your EIN, but an LLC also protects your personal assets. So if I'm selling my dog cookies, I formed as, I already forgot what I said that was, the Dog Cookies USA LLC. I've formed that way. LLC means you have limited liability company or limited liability corporation, right? Limited liability, which means limited responsibility to people who sue you. Now, you still have a legal obligation to, when you're putting out products, and we're going to talk about this in the insurance episode, okay? Of all the different types of insurance, which ones you need, depending on what you're selling, whether it's product or service. But this means that if someone were to sue you, they can't get to your assets, like your personal bank accounts, your house, your car, all these other things. Okay, like they, in theory, may be able to if you do something really, really super bad. Like you are commingling your money, your personal money with your business money together. You are like selling drugs to people under the company's name, illegal drugs, right? That's called piercing the corporate veil. Don't do it. We're going to talk about how to make sure you don't have that done. But LLC is likely the way that you want to go. How do you become an LLC? Do you just say, hey, I'm an LLC? No. No, you have to officially form with your state. Okay, you're going to do that through your Secretary of State or your Division of Corporations. Go, Google it. It'll pop up. There is a filing fee associated with that. It's very minimal. Okay, it's probably about $75 to maybe $125 depending on where you're at. The next thing people ask sometimes when I'm wearing my hat as a lawyer is, should I form in Delaware? Like, I hear Delaware or California or whatever, the new trend is really good for businesses. Let me tell you something. If you're selling dog cookies or you're have social media marketing business or just your typical run-of-the-mill startups, you do not need to be going and trying to find where to file out of state, because you're likely not going to benefit from anything from that. That's like, if you file there, maybe you'll get tax benefits, but you have to be making a ton of money for that to even matter. And then when you do that, if you're actually doing your business and selling outside of that state, you have to then file as a foreign corporation in the state where you actually live or where you're selling. And that's just more fees on top of fees that you have to pay every year to stay, I'm going to say, in the good graces of the Secretary of State, but really just to allow you your legal status and to be active, okay? No, just file where you're at, y'all, for the most part, okay? Also, an LLC allows you to open a bank account, use that EIN number to do that. You can still do a DBA as any of the other legal structures or entities. So I had mentioned that as a sole proprietor, you can do a DBA to be like Dog Cookies USA. Let's say you open up your LLC. You are Dog Cookies USA, but you say, you know what? I don't want to be limited with dog cookies. I want to start selling catnip treats or I don't know, dog clothes. Well, you can do a DBA under your LLC, then Dog Cookies USA LLC, doing business as Pet Treat Emporium or something, to where it's broader and it encompasses more than just dog treats. So yeah, that's the really nitty gritty on why I think you should likely pick the LLC if you are in the burgeoning stages of your startup. Can you switch? So if you decide to start as an LLC, can you switch to something else later on? Yes. However, not everything can transfer over, and there's sometimes, like for example, if you, I don't know why you would ever do this, but I actually ran into this in my practice. Someone had an LLC and they wanted to then become a nonprofit. In the state where they were incorporated, you can't do that. You can't go from LLC to nonprofit. Some states will allow you to do that. They will say, okay, an LLC can become a nonprofit. Some states do. The state where we were at, you can't do that. You have to be a corporation to be a nonprofit. If you're a sole proprietor, you can become an LLC later down on the road. If you're a partnership, you can change that up and y'all can be an LLC or a corporation. Anyway, super legally, super boring. But if you want to protect your house, and if you're like, hey girl, limited liability sounds cool, but like, I don't have a house. Maybe you will one day. If this business takes off and you start making a bunch of money, hello, don't you want to protect that? There's no reason to not. Hardly ever. Now, there are tax reasons. I am not an accountant. I can barely do 3 plus 3. But, there are some tax reasons why people may not choose an LLC. They may choose sole proprietor or vice versa. There's something called double taxation and pass-through taxation. You can be an LLC and you can, if you make enough money and it's worth it, you can elect to be what's called an S Corp. That's just a tax designation status. It doesn't mean that you are, instead of being an LLC, you're now a corporation. It means you're being an LLC taxed as an S Corp, which allows you to pay less in self-employment taxes. Again, I am not a CPA. I am not going to get that information, talk to your CPA about that. But in a nutshell, you can form your business legally as sole proprietor, partnership, LLC, corporation, or a nonprofit. Don't do that. 9 times out of 10, if it is just you, you are going to want to be an LLC. If you are forming a business with someone else, I recommend, of course, talk to a lawyer in your state, but I recommend if you're going to be an LLC, if you're going to form a business with someone else, you form an LLC to start that business with another LLC to form one LLC. Just limited liability as much as possible, wherever you can get it, is usually what I recommend in my day job. But again, everyone's set of facts are different. So whatever. Okay, that's it. The end. Be Fierce and Kind podcast. We are done. The next episode that we are going to discuss for small business formation for people who don't want to fall asleep because it's super boring. We're going to talk about intellectual property. It's my favorite topic after The Simpsons and Buffy the Vampire Slayer. But we're going to talk about trademarks, copyrights, and patents for small businesses. You don't want to miss it. I look like a news anchor. Tonight at 10, we are going to be discussing intellectual property. I don't know how to end it. Goodbye.